Hello everyone and welcome to Florida Aviation Network. I'm Ben Coleman, your host for today's Plane Time number 20. And if you catch on quick, this is our 20th Plane Time show that we got. Plane Time was developed as a project for the Florida Aviation Network and through the National Aviation Safety Foundation. And we started back in the roots of our FAA Safety Center. And Obie Young, myself, and Bill Hohenstein were the FAST team managers, which at that time were called safety managers. And the Florida Aviation Network kind of morphed out of that activity, but the entire focus of our presentations and our meetings was safety. The FAA is all about safety and keeping things as safe as possible. They are the friendly aviation administration. Someone called them the Federal Aviation Administration, and it stuck. But it's just the Friendly Aviation Administration. And if you're watching this show and this program today, at the end there will be Wings Credit. It's a 4-digit code that I guess I could just go ahead and give it to you now. Did you get that? I'll give it to you again. Okay. Well, if you didn't get that, you have to watch the whole show and get it at the end of the show. Aviation in itself is not inherently dangerous, but to a far higher degree than the sea is terribly unforgiving of any incapacities or negligence. And that's what we try to bring out in every one of our shows here. And we can do that at the same time, have fun. And that's the reason that we enjoy and talking about fun. Our volunteers, we would not be able to put these presentations on without our countless volunteers. We got Bob, we got Jim, we got another Bob, we got Jim sandwiched in a pair of Bobs. And you can never have too many Bobs in a room. Isn't that right, Bob? Bob? Okay. But the whole premise of aviation is to enjoy the lofting ourselves up into the sky and the beauty. It's just if you have never been flying before, you can't put it into words. It's a wonderful thing to be above the earth, looking down, and it really gives a perspective of how small we are. But through these efforts and through the media efforts that we do here at the Florida Aviation Network, about 75% of all of our learning comes through visual learning. And that's out of the textbooks. I didn't just make that up. So let's concentrate on making our media as important as possible, as effective as possible, and as knowledgeable and instructional as possible. Volunteerism, again, without the volunteerism, we wouldn't be able to do what we do here at the Florida Aviation Network. There's another organization that depends heavily on their volunteers, and as a matter of fact, we're celebrating their 50th, half a century old, that they are half a century young, depends on half full, half empty. I think that it's young. I think the next 50 is going to be better than the last 50. And the reason I say that is because the leadership is so important to keep an organization like this thriving so well. I would like to, I'm very proud to introduce you to one of the management team here.
Hey Ben, how are you?
Gene Conrad.
Good
Gene,
to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Gene, you don't have anything else really going on or happening this time of year, do you?
No, I think we're 31 days out. Not that anybody's counting. So.
Okay, and probably Gene, it's on autopilot now. You got and your volunteers, they know exactly what to do. It takes, all the billing has been taken care of. All the setup is done. All the prep work is done. You're probably just kind of sitting around drinking a beer, floating around in the pool. Call me if anything comes up, Dennis. And isn't that right?
No, that is absolutely not right. And right after we do the show here today, first of all, thanks for having me today. We appreciate the opportunity. But right after I'm done today, I'm heading right back out to the airport because, again, we're 31 days out from our 50th fly-in there at Lakeland International Airport, and it's a big one for us, and we still have lots of work to do. You know, I always tell folks, I used to run the airport at Lakeland and for 12 years, and you know, whether you're running a business, running an airport or whatnot, you know, you get to tweak that business and you get to work on it every single day. We work on Sun and Fun every single day, but we unpack it for 6 days. We operate, right, and then we put it all away. So it is not for the weak of heart to run something like this. I'm very fortunate to have a great team, but I'm also very fortunate to have 2,900 volunteers that help us put on this event each year. And without them, we could absolutely not do it. And by the way, over 20,000 volunteers that we've had that are recorded that we have in our database over the last 50 years that have participated and helped us put on this great event.
Gene, there's one way to keep the volunteers coming back.
Food.
Other than food and pretty airplanes, but the passion and the fun and the volunteers around Sun and Fun. And actually here, we do this because it's fun. And there's another adage that we talked about earlier is if you enjoy what you do in life, you never work a day. And I think that has developed with you as well. Your dad was heavy in the aviation business, and you probably learned a thing or two from your dad.
I did. So I was, I'm sure people have heard me say it before, but I was born in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, right? So my dad ran the airport there when I was a kid. And, I got to grow up. He was an airport director for 30 years, so I got to be around him, whether it was at Oshkosh, it was at Huntsville, Alabama, it was at Dayton. So cool little history from Oshkosh to Huntsville, Redstone Arsenal, the Space Center's there. And then being in Dayton, the home of the Wright brothers, obviously. So, I have a very unique upbringing, but, I learned a lot from him. And, the whole reason I came here to Lakeland was because Sun and Fun was at Lakeland International Airport, or is. And so here we are. Had a great run as the airport director, and now it's been March 7th was 2 years for me with Sun and Fun, and we're just getting ready for our 50th, and a lot of my efforts over the last 2 years is to get ready for this 50th, because it is a big one, and we need to put on the best event we can, to celebrate again all of our volunteers and celebrate aviation and all the folks that came before us, and there's a lot of them. When you think about Billy Henderson. All the pioneers, all the folks that when the flying started on the north side of the airfield, right in 1975, it was clear. There were hangars up there. There was infrastructure, but then when the organizers and all the volunteers and the pioneers moved us to the south side in 1977, because we had outgrown the operation on the north side, there was a lot of work to do down there to get that site ready, because it did not look like it does today. So there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into it, and we're forever grateful for them. And when you think about our organization too, so our 50th, so just to put it in context too, because I got asked this quite a bit. So our organization started in December of 1974. So our 50-year anniversary for the organization will be in December of this year, okay? Right?
Not trying to be
just
specific.
Hold on, no, I do, because I got drilled on this and questioned quite a bit. But it is our 50th flying, because the first annual was in January of 1975, right? So that was the first. When you're born, 1 year around the sun, then you're one. So hopefully that clears it up for a lot of folks. But it will be our 50th anniversary, but this is our 50th flying, and just lots to do. It's going to be an exciting year for us, and we're going to celebrate, and it's going to be a good time.
Well, Gene, I had all intentions of kind of putting you on the spot about talking about safety and what you do around the organization. And in our pre-brief, I tried to trick him up. And I did bring up, well, Gene, what do you do for safety around Sun and Fun? He thought for a minute, then we don't do anything special around safety. Safety is woven into our operation. So I can't really answer that question. And I said, well, that stinks, because now I can't really trip you up on it. But the thing is, and it still goes back to the old adage, and this is the only thing we can talk about. If you see something, say something to somebody. If something doesn't look right, smell right, or just looks suspicious, don't think about it 30 minutes or an hour later and then come back, maybe I should have said something to say. No, say it then. Get a hold of one of Gene's minions of volunteers there, and or anybody, even if it's somebody you're walking side by side with. Hey, did you see that suspicious looking crowd over there carrying something that looked kind of funny in a briefcase? Yeah, well, let's do something about that. All right, that's my safety spiel.
Well, if I could, though, I will
Please,
say
please, can you elaborate?
safety is woven into our culture. So not that we don't obviously, I mean, we're obviously laser focused on it. I mean, that's our number one charge when we put on this event each year with our volunteers, whether it's the FAA, our air traffic friends that come in to help us, our FSDO friends with the FAA, all of our volunteers, the airport there as well. My team, safety is of the utmost importance. When I ran the airport, now Sun and Fun, I always told my folks, as long as we don't kill anybody, we can fix it, right? So we got to make sure everybody's good to go. It is a very complex event. It is, essentially a ballet. When you think about all the aspects of transportation that's woven into our event, whether it's air traffic, all the aircraft wanting to get in, the ground operation when those aircraft are coming in, and then they're taxiing amongst golf carts and vehicles and pedestrians and all of that, and our volunteers do a phenomenal job. Civil Air Patrol, the Brits that come each year, do a great job to deconflict and keep those entities separated. We need to keep them separate, but even on the vehicle side, RVs, just all of the complexity that goes into the event. And again, without the volunteers, we couldn't do it, but it's all about safety at the end of the day. Unfortunately, we have insurance companies and the various things that, God forbid something happens, then it gets a little messy, but, safety is very, very important to every single thing that we do out there.
Well, and I do know that you have a safety department. You have a safety chairman, and they are out. If you see somebody on a golf cart driving around as you're walking around, give them a shout. Say, hey, thanks for what you do. And if you see something, say something. Around the ramp especially, there's, I guess this was a highway thing many years ago, highway patrol, but speed kills. And go slow. If you're driving a vehicle somewhere around Sun and Fun, take it easy, throttle back a little bit. Nothing is so important that you have to speed to get around, because all it takes is for one little one to get out in the wrong way, and they're having fun. We don't want to tether our kids all the time, but they get around, and we just don't want to see anybody hurt. It's such a wonderful event. And Gene, in the second segment, we're going to get a little bit more into some of the things we have going on with the layout of Sun and Fun, the pattern. And I'm just going to throw it out there, the island. I want to develop what happens on the island next, in the next segment. But now, as far as I think, don't we have some performers showing up, some music or something going to be played? What's going on?
So it's our 50th, so we're going to celebrate. So opening day, so we have all of our exhibitors, all of our vendors that will be there. Actually, record number this year. So I think we're about 570 exhibitors.
Wow.
With over 800 spaces at this point. So we have the most exhibitors and spaces rented out by our great folks that show up each year to show off their wares and all their latest gadgets and new engines and airplanes. So we're excited about that. But as far as performers, again, we'll have our daily air shows each day from 1 to 5, Tuesday through Sunday, and then an opening night. We have an opening night concert, so we're going to have a stage right in the middle of the Warbird ramp, and we'll have Dylan Scott and with special guest Sarah Evans. That will start at 6 p.m. and run till about 9 p.m. So it's going to be a busy first day for us. Again, we want to celebrate, our 50 years and all the people that came before us to get it done.
Great. Any food or drink going to be happening?
There's plenty of food and drink and beverages and whatnot on the site, so we'll be ready for everybody when they get there.
Well, I will remember a time that I had a discussion up on the top of the FAA building with not Tom, but Paul Popresny when he was still with us. And he was there looking around and all the activity going on. And we had just opened up, I think, Margaritaville. It was new. And boy, Paul he wasn't too sure about alcohol, and I said, Paul, I'm right there with you, buddy, but we, as long as you're responsible and in moderation, even good things in moderation is okay, but don't overdo it. And I bring that up to where if you're out at the on the ramp and at the show, you see a piece of paper, reach down, pick it up, police after yourself. And if you see somebody else do something, help them pick it up, and just keep the area clean. Do not hurt the airplanes. If anything, if you don't own it, don't touch it. I mean, if you know the owner there, hey, sir, ma'am, can I touch your airplane? chances are they're not going to say, no, get away from airplane. It's Sun and Fun. Sure, let me show you. Would you like to look inside? You know, that's typically what we find there at the event. And we're kind of partial because we did cut our teeth there, the Florida Aviation Network, at Sun and Fun. And Obi Young and Obi 2, I think Obi 2 is going to be spending a lot of time there with us for helping put on these productions. And we are going to have a plethora, I let's love that word, a plethora of activity in the high school. I guess it's the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. CFAA. I was trying to come up with the words. This CFAA, but thank goodness for Mr. Brown and all the people that it takes to run that show over there is wonderful. And James C. Ray, it wouldn't be the same if we didn't mention the James C. Ray Foundation and anything that you knew the man.
Yes.
And what a guy. What
Yes.
a guy. And he left a footprint in Lakeland that will never be forgotten.
Well, he's leaving a footprint all over the United States because, you know, the Ray Foundation does phenomenal things for aviation groups and entities around the country. We, you know, at Sun and Fun, the Aerospace Center for Excellence, are very fortunate because when we started the Central Florida Aerospace Academy in 2008, Mr. Ray came in 2010 and stroked a very large check to Sun and Fun. So we built that school, we own it, and then with the lease payments that we receive from Polk County Public Schools for the 385 kids that are in there and their year-round activities, all of those funds go into the Central Florida Aerospace Academy Foundation, and that's how we provide our scholarships to the kids that go to that school or live in Polk County, get the private pilot certificate paid for free. And we also give out about $100,000 worth of scholarships at the end of the year as well for the graduating seniors. So it's a great program. We're very, very fortunate.
Well, but Gene, is it all about money?
It is not all about money.
So that $5,000 check that I have that I'm going to donate, you don't really need that?
No, we can always use more, though. It is very expensive. I mean, that's one thing. I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because, you know, to put on the Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo every year, it is very expensive. You know, I will tell you, we're all dealing with it, right? Inflation and all these various things that are going on in our world. You know, but it's very expensive. You know, our tent company, for example, last year, our tent costs doubled. Our rental cars doubled. Golf carts didn't double, but they were up 50% as far as the cost. So a lot of expense to put on this event. And so we tried to keep, you know, our rates and what we charge folks to show up down as much as possible because we're not looking to fleece anybody. But again, it's very, very expensive to put on this show. But at the end of the day, our net proceeds go back into all of our educational programming throughout the year. That's where it all goes. So we just talked about the Central Florida Aerospace Academy, but back in 2021, we opened up the Skylab Innovation Center. And if you were there before, we had the ICOF conference room and facility, then we had an open air space, and then we had the Florida Air Museum. Now with the Skylab Innovation Center, that's all one piece. It's all connected along with the pavilion. And off the front of the museum, we built about 8,000 square feet of STEM-based learning labs, right, for our young folks. So right now, in partnership with Polk County Public Schools, we are bringing 4,000 fifth graders through that facility this year. So the Polk County is the fourth largest county in the state of Florida. It's a large landmass about the size of Rhode Island, but we are busing these kids from all across the county into our campus, into the Skylab Innovation Center, and we have educators on staff, and we built purpose-built field trips for these kids, and they'll be with us anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it is a great program, and we want to get these kids as early as possible. Because of that, you know, getting these fifth graders in, we have 2 right now pre-aviation academies in our middle school. This next year we'll have 4 that then feed CFAA. And also, we now have, over the last couple of years, we also have CFAA Winter Haven, right? So they have their portables at Gilbert Field as well with 250 kids in that program. So we have 385 in our high school, they have 250, and I wouldn't be surprised if you heard some announcements in the future that they will most likely get a brick and mortar school at Winter Haven as well here in the near future. So lots going on in Polk County. But again, back to the fly-in, I mean, our fly-in is helping to support all of those efforts on a year-round basis.
And Gene, I kind of set you up a little bit when is it all about money? Well, It's not all about money. It's about the passion and the love. And but now, you got to be a good businessman to keep the business thriving, and the cash flow is part of it. So Oh, by the way, Gene, I want to ask you can I have some free tickets?
I think you volunteer, so I think you get in
Okay.
anyway. So
No, but I mean, every year, people, if they find out that you're affiliated or somehow affiliated, hey, Ben, can you get me a couple passes? I said, sure, give me $100 and I'll give you some change. And yeah, that's, like Gene says, it costs money to put these on. Without our sponsors, our volunteers, our advertisers, and there's a lot of advertising going on at Sun and Fun
Yes.
because it is an international event. It truly is, and it is not all about money. But without the money, we can't go to this extent to put on such a good. It's a display. It's an educational experience, and if not, why would people keep coming back? So we want to keep the folks coming back, and I don't mind kicking in. Melody and I, we kick in a whole bunch every year.
yeah, but also, I mean, to your point though, I mean, obviously there's an expense to be there, but also, we as the Sun and Fun, Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo, we have to provide the value for folks too, right? So, whether we know folks are coming in, they're flying in because the exhibitors are there and they want to come see them, during the day, but we got to put on a world-class air show. We need entertainment in the night, in the evenings as well, because we have people staying with us. And we need to have that programming, again, with forums as well, with workshops. We need to have all this available to our guests. And without that, what's the value, right? What's the value proposition? So, we're really, whether it was last year for our 49th or now this year for our 50th, we want to provide that entertainment value and make sure people feel that value as they come in, and all these things that they expect are there for them each year.
Well, and I did want to thank you. Gene did deputize me to be nighttime security. What's my slot from 11 to 5?
Yes, actually,
11
no,
to
it
9
starts
to
at
5.
10:30, goes to 6 a.m. So
10:30 to 6
thank you.
a.m.
We got that on air, so I look forward to seeing you
right
out there
there.
late at night, early in the mornings.
Okay, I don't
So,
need any sleep. No.
Yes.
Thanks, Gene. Appreciate
Yes.
that. We want to talk about and again, you mentioned the value, but what are they going to see there that they haven't seen before? And one thing that I want to throw out there is an airplane that's near and dear to my heart is the Connie.
Yes, well, the Connie is coming, the Super Constellation, the MacArthur Baton. So Air Legends Foundation, they went and found that this airplane was sitting in Fort Rucker for lots of years, and they got it flyable, flew it out of Fort Rucker, and they took however many years to restore the thing, but it was introduced again at AirVenture last year. Right now, it's actually an interior. Getting the interior redone in Oregon, but they're going to take it out of interior to fly it over to Lakeland, all the way from Oregon, be here with us for 6 days. So it'll arrive on Tuesday, it'll fly on Wednesday, and we'll depart on Saturday, and then fly back out to Oregon. But that airplane's near and dear to my heart because it's the MacArthur Baton, named after the Bataan Death March, and my grandfather was in the Bataan Death March. So that airplane's very, very important to me and to my family. And actually, my family and my grandfather, there's actually a building named after him in Fort Rucker, the Conrad Safety Building.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he was in Vietnam, but after Vietnam, he actually created the fuel bladders or fuel cells inside the Hueys. There were issues with these aircraft crashing and causing fires and whatnot, but they had created this bladder that helped save lots of lives back during Vietnam. So that's why the building is named after him. But he made it through the Bataan Death March, and so again, that airplane's very, very special to me. And but having the Connie, if you saw the Pioneer video earlier as well, the old TWA Connie was there, Save a Connie. But this is not the same airplane, but it would be great to have that airplane here with us. It's very, very special.
Well, and again, let me kind of emphasize that's the plan.
Yes.
For it to fly from Oregon to Lakeland. That's the plan.
It will be here.
Okay. Right. Nothing could go wrong with a 50, 60, 70, a seasoned aircraft, is it? But no, but that's just all part of it. And we really do enjoy all the different area of aircraft, and the people that there's a story behind every airplane out there. And if you want to know the story behind it, all you have to do is ask.
Yep.
And there's going to be somebody around there that will tell you exactly who restored it, where it came from, what it cost to operate it, And I guess it's the learning event that I think that I enjoy seeing the most, and all the effort. And Gene, let me give you the answer to the question I'm going to ask you, and your answer is going to be every day of my life. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the answer?
Every day of my life.
Gene, do you fly?
I do not.
Damn it.
Yep.
Gene, I'm going to give you the answer to the question I'm going to ask you. It's every day of my life. Gene, do you fly?
Every day of my life.
That boy, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking about. You don't have to have a pilot's license to really enjoy
No, you do
aviation
not.
and to fly.
Yep.
Could you, and I did this to Melody a couple times, flying around in that little Tabria, says, okay, you got it. Says, no, I don't. Yes, you do. I just had a heart attack. What are you going to do? Die? No. She's going to land the airplane. What could you do in a case like that?
I would land the airplane. I mean, I'm not a pilot, but I've been around it my entire life, and I've flown plenty of airplanes. I have 10 hours. I did this way back in the late 90s, but I will tell you, my passion is the operations and logistics and how things work and protecting aviation. I mean, that's where my passion lies.
Mm-hmm.
I am in ground school right now, so if everybody's out there, well, how can he not be a pilot? Well, it's easy. I am in ground school right now, and I'm working to get my pilot's license. So it'll be a couple years before that happens because I have a young family and we're busy working at the Aerospace Center for Excellence and Sun and Fun. But it's something I'm going to get done. But my passion lies in what I do every single day, and whether it was running airports or it's now the Aerospace Center for Excellence and Sun and Fun, and protecting it and nurturing the opportunities that we have and for others, really, because when we're successful, and I always say this when I was at the airport or now with Sun and Fun, when we're successful, we're creating opportunities for other folks, and that's what it's all about. So, and putting the pieces in place in front of folks so they can be successful in their lives. That's what we do.
Well, I'll tell you, the shakers and the movers in this industry, you're building the future. You really are. And I love to hear people say, well, aviation really, I don't have much to do with it. It really doesn't have an impact on me. Excuse me? Stop and think about it. And
well, here in the state of Florida, we're all very fortunate because we don't have state income tax. And the reason is because we have 70, 80 million visitors coming each year, and half of those folks fly here to this great state. So aviation to the state of Florida is critically important. I believe there's more money invested here in the airports and the infrastructure and what we do than any other state. Maybe the next closest would be Texas, but there's lots of monies that are put into this, into aviation, into our system in the state. Obviously, we're part of the NAS, and part of the whole system around the country, but in the state of Florida, we're very unique. There's lots of funds, there's lots of airplanes here, lots of flight training, and aviation is critically important in this state. It's hard to get around, too, without it for a lot of folks.
I know he's an aviator because he uses the word NAS. National Aerospace System.
Yep.
That's NAS. And anybody else in that ground school with you that I might know?
Yeah, my son Gunner.
Okay.
He's 16.
Gunner. What a guy.
Yes.
All right.
So it's something cool
Shout
because
out.
I get to do it with him, so it's
Yeah.
fun.
And alone or with a party, it's good. It's good. And the thing that impresses me, and we're going to get more into Billy Henderson in the second segment, but Gene, it wasn't uncommon to see Billy in a pair of jeans, a sweaty shirt, leather gloves, out there pounding away, digging away palmettos, and Adair cussing at the palmettos, and actually cussing more people for not showing up. But that was just Adair. But you have that same spirit, and I've watched you up at EAA Air Venture. You're a volunteer up there.
Yes,
You have
35
been,
years.
and you will continue to be.
That's correct.
And you're out there sweating and running just like everybody else, trying to keep people separated and coming and doing what they're supposed to do on the flight line. But with that work ethic, you are going to be the Billy Henderson of the next 50. And I don't know how many of those 50 you're going to be in there, because, Gene, when I first met you, you didn't have any gray hair, my friend.
Ben.
I'm not going to go there. I guess I did. But anyway.
No.
All right. We're going to wrap this one up, Gene, and let's talk a little bit more about this and develop more in the next segment. But we're going to take a time off, and we'll see you in a few minutes.